Oh,
We're live.
well, that's on the internet now. Sorry, Mom. CGI.
I put that in post, even though it's a live stream. I'm that good. I can do it all. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host right here, Eric Wilson, and we're here today to talk about the New York Rangers versus the Nashville Predators going on tonight at 8 p.m. So we're going to chill here for about a half an hour, hang out with you guys, discuss some New York Rangers, do our usual show, preview the game. Can't wait to dive right into it. Eric, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, We're on the final stretch of the dad trip. As we know, the Rangers are historically phenomenal during, and we continue to work on that trend as of last game, and we won 8-2. I had no idea that was going to come against the Red Wings, who are surprisingly good. And 6 of our 8 goals came in the third period, which kind of just disproves everything that we've been saying about how we always come out hot and then just fall off at the end. We just said, nah, we ain't going to do that again. And that was a crazy game. So second game of the dad's trip against Nashville, not the greatest team. I'm looking like very happy about this. I think we have a really good shot at winning.
Yeah, I mean, Dad's trip gives the team huge offensive boost in Detroit. Love to see that. And it was a huge win for the Rangers last night. And I'm excited to see them hopefully build on it. Obviously, the kid line put back intact last night. Rangers made some changes to their lines, and it paid off some huge dividends for the team. So Rangers are playing a whole lot better right now with some what's that?
It was on Thursday. It was 2 nights ago.
Yeah, 2 nights ago, rather. But, Rangers are trying up some new tactics, which was desperately needed after the subpar performances that we were getting from them as of late. But heading into tonight's game, let's go ahead and take a look at the projected lineups and discuss. So, first line, Kreider's Advantage at VC. Second line, Panarin, Trocheck, Gauthier, right? Gauthier. Mess up his name every time. Laffy, Hedel, Kakko, the kid line on the third. Blake, Goodrow, and Reeves on the fourth. So, same lines as the other night, minus Vitaly Kravtsov, but that's okay. Vitaly Kravtsov, we pretty much never expect him to be in the lineup anyway because he's always injured. Tonight, he's dealing with a stomach bug, I believe it was. But we've got Halak in that tonight, no Igor Shesterkin. However, we're feeling pretty good, confident that the Rangers are going to continue their winning ways on the dad's trip. And yeah, man, I mean, what are you thinking of these lines heading into tonight's game? And everyone in the chat and watching the live stream right now, comment down below. How are you feeling going into tonight's game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm confident in these lines, putting up 8 goals last game. Obviously, Kravtsov is not here. That's just kind of one of those things where it's like, what are you going to do about it? We kind of saw this coming. Stomach bug, who cares? I guarantee every single player on the Rangers has gotten like a cold or something in the last season, still played through it. Kravtsov is kind of a little bit of a baby, but whatever. We all know how I feel about him. Could be the second coming of Ryan Strome, in my opinion. But and I'm feeling very confident, even with Halak in net. It's kind of like Halak hasn't played bad at all this season. It's kind of just the rest of the team around him has played bad when he's in net. We kind of just like take things a little easier. I don't think that's going to happen tonight, especially against a team like Nashville, who is only 5-8-1, not the greatest team. You look at their stats, their highest point forward is Mikael Granlund with only 11 points in 14 games. And of those 11 points, 10 of them are assists. And their highest goal scorer, Nino Niederreiter, only has 6 goals. So they're not a very offensive oriented team right now. I honestly don't even know who's on their defense. I don't even know who their goalie is right now. I think it's UC Saros still, who is actually a really good goaltender. But I think we do have the opportunity right here to put up another 5 or 6 goals tonight, and I wouldn't doubt it if they did.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. The Rangers are looking like they're hot again. They're looking a whole lot better than they were last week after this phenomenal performance. Just pulling it up. Eric, if you want to go ahead and read the Nashville Predators line combinations heading into tonight's game.
All right. Well, for their first line, they got Philip Forsberg, obviously phenomenal player. He's been in the league for a while. Probably their best forward, in my opinion. First line center is Juuso Parson. I've honestly never heard that name before. And the fact that it doesn't even show what his number is a little like weird. At first, I'm like, should I know who this is? This is me like being dumb, but who knows? Then Mikael Granlund, I guess it's a decent first line. I have no idea who that center is, but it's cool, I guess. Now, that second line that I'm looking at, that might be the dangerous one. If they're going to score goals on Halak tonight, I think it's going to be the second line with Nino Niederreiter, Ryan Johansson, who I love Ryan Johansson, by the way, if you guys didn't know that, and Matt Duchene, who I hate. But they're all great goal scorers, so I think that's going to be a dangerous line. looking at this fourth line, outside of Eli Tolvanen and Colton Sissons, I've never heard of any of these names. Well, I guess I know Mark Jankowski, but Cole Smith, Tanner Jeannot, Michael McCarron, I don't know who they are.
Yeah, so I think the Rangers definitely have the edge in the bottom six personally, and I think that's probably where we're going to find our way towards winning. I think, taking a look at the kid line, we know that Capo Caco is capable of succeeding on the first line, and he's playing on the third line with Lafreniere and Hedel. Lafreniere also capable of succeeding in the top six. Hedel also, I think, is capable of succeeding in the top six. Having those guys play on that third line gives the Rangers an edge in the bottom six over almost every team in the NHL. And I think that is the difference maker. And I'm happy that Gerard Gallant has gone ahead and reworked the lines and brought the kid line back for the dad's trip. I think that was a very important move by Gallant, and I totally support it, and I want him to continue with these lines until they stop working again. But honestly, it wouldn't shock me if these are the lines pretty much for the rest of the season, because that kid line on the third is dominant at times. Whenever it wants to be, it is pretty dominant, and I think that is kind of the thing to key in on here. Lafreniere, Hedel, Kakko, how are they going to play tonight? When you take a look at last game, Adam Fox was the star of the show with a 4-point performance, but a lot of those players in the bottom six stood out, put it together some really solid performances. You had Barclay Goodrow with 3 points, 1 goal, 2 assists. Philip Hedel had 2 assists. Lafreniere with 2 assists. And continuing downward, Kakko didn't put any points on the board, but that's okay. Kidline otherwise played great, and so did the rest of the bottom six. So let's go ahead. NYR fan for life, New York Rangers fan for life. Dropped a comment down below. The Preds are no pushovers. I expect the Rangers to have another offensive explosion tonight, just like back in Detroit. Now, that's what we're saying as well. We think that's going to happen. Again, looking at the bottom six, the Rangers have a clear and obvious advantage. It's just all about, hopefully, Halak can do well in net, and the defense can hold together strongly to make sure that the Predators don't have, a breakout game of their own. But we agree. We think that the bottom six is the clear and obvious edge here that's going to allow the Rangers to have an offensive explosion tonight to go ahead and get 2 wins in a row. Eric, what are your thoughts on this comment?
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to put up a lot of goals and assists tonight. The only thing that I am a little concerned about is, again, when we looked at those lines that the Predators had, it didn't say who their goaltender was. And if I'm correct in the fact that it is UC Saros, someone please correct me on this if I'm wrong. He was another Vezina finalist last season along with Igor. So we could have a very strong battle between a lot of goaltenders, or the 2 goaltenders this game. And it might be a little difficult to put up some goals on them. But, looking at the offense that we currently have, I don't think it'd be too much of a problem. And yes, it is UC Saros. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Vezina finalists were Igor, Saros, and Markstrom last season. Igor obviously won by a landslide, but Saros is no goalie to mess around with. You can't go into this game acting like they're pushovers, just assuming you're going to win. This is one of those games that you are going to have to fight for. They might not put up as many points as a different NHL team would, but the goaltending might come through and help them out and get like a 1-0 win or something. So, you can't take this game lightly. You do have to put all of your offense into it right now.
100%. And I know this is a little bit off topic from tonight's game, but Eric, just seeing this article right here has me a little bit excited, talking about the upcoming trade deadline in March of 2023.
It's the day after my birthday.
NHL trade bait tracker. We got some interesting names here on this list. I'm just curious to know if you're eyeing anyone that you think in the long-term outlook, big picture of this year's season, right? Who could the Rangers maybe make a move for in the future to go ahead and boost them towards the Stanley Cup Finals?
Who's the one name on this list that we've been talking about?
I know who it is. It's Patrick Kane, but I refuse to believe that that's going to happen. There's no shot that Patrick Kane ever ends up in New York.
Dude, I don't think so. I feel like every single NHL analyst is confirming that Patrick Kane wants out of Chicago, and the number 1 team most likely to trade for him would be the New York Rangers. Now, given it'd be a little difficult with the cap and stuff, but we have a lot of prospects and picks that could possibly be given up in order to get Chicago to retain at least like half of that salary that he's got going on. I think it was like $10.5 million I just saw. But I think out of all those names, that's one thing that we need. One more final superstar on this team, just like last year, to push us to be Stanley Cup contenders. And obviously we're good right now. We're 7-5-3. We're in a wild card spot. I believe the first wild card spot right now. but the Eastern Conference is just so good that keeps fluctuating. If we win tonight and a couple of teams lose, we could just be first in our division tonight. It's like it's all over the place right now. So I think we were just one player away again. We lost a couple guys like Kopp and Vetrano, and we just got to pick up one more. And I like Patrick Kane. I really love Patrick Kane. Not even only on the Rangers. I love Patrick Kane.
I just can't see it happening, man. It's too much money, but. And I also think that what the Rangers have right now, I think that they have a solid squad if they just keep building on it. And again, looking at tonight's game and taking a look at what we have, you've got Ryan Reeves out there. Let's go ahead and talk about Ryan Reeves. Jones, once again, the healthy scratch for tonight's game. So what are your thoughts on Ryan Reeves going into this performance? Obviously, last week he was the healthy scratch for a couple of games. Now Zach Jones getting the healthy scratch instead, and Ryan Reeves getting the playing time once again. Ryan Reeves, of course, he's a fighter. He's an angry MFer who loves to go out there, throw some punches, send some checks onto the glass. But what are your thoughts on Ryan Reeves entering tonight's game?
Yeah, well, I mean, Ryan Reeves is one of those guys that'll come in and out of the lineup when needed. The Zach Jones thing is entirely unrelated. Like Reeves is the fourth line right winger. Jones is on the defense. So it probably means we're going to see Libor Hayek again tonight playing with Braden Schneider, which I kind of support. But specifically for Ryan Reeves, I don't really see a problem with putting him in right now. You look at his stats. He's played in 11 games this season, 0 points. He's a -5, but he's a fighter. He's a hitter. He's an enforcer, and this might be one of those games that we need that. We're going to be trying to put up as much offense as possible and trying to suppress their offense as much as possible. And this what is presumed to be a battle of the goaltenders again. So to have Reeves come out there and just punch Matt Duchene in the face a couple times, it might just bring him down a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. But I think it's beneficial. I'm assuming that Carpenter will be out then, and that because of that, which is again just fine. You look at Carpenter, all he has is 1 assist. Pretty sure it happened last game, but I could be wrong on that. It doesn't really matter. I think they're just two guys who are just interchangeable depending on how we need them.
Yeah, Carpenter is out of the lineup tonight. It's Blake Goodrow and Reeves on that fourth line. Christopher Big Bear, thanks for joining us. Sup, dudes? Let's hope the dads inspired the boys tonight. Let's go, Rangers. Hell yeah, brother. Let's go, Rangers. I'm hoping that the dads went into that locker room, gave a solid speech. The dad's trip, always a fun time for the New York Rangers. Always a lot of wins into the W column for the Rangers. Again, a win 2 nights ago. Big win, 8-2 victory, and hopefully another win on the way tonight. So, yes, let's hope that the dads inspired the team.
I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, but just for some reason, whenever we're going on the dad's trip, we just don't lose. And again, knock on wood, because I just said that. Now I know we're about to get shut out like 10-0. But no, I'm fully confident. Even if we were going to go up against like Colorado or Tampa right now, I'd just be like, we're fine, bro. You could have Panarin and the entire top 6 injured, but I'd be like, the dads are there. Like, we're good. Like, it's fine. But we'll be okay.
So, interesting storyline going into tonight's game. After a 2-point performance on Thursday night, Filip Chytil is 1 point away from the 100th point of his career. What are your thoughts on Filip Chytil going into tonight's game? Will he get that elusive 100th point? And how are you feeling about his performance so far this season?
I mean, Chytil's played great this season. It was really tough to see him be injured for a little while because he was a big contributor. And we did get to see him play in some top 6 ice time a couple of games ago, and I think he's just been playing great. He's like right there about to break out, but the fact that he's on the third line means that he's not going to explode as much as he should, but he is still going to develop and put up a decent amount of points this season because of that. So rather than seeing him like explode for like 60, 70 points, we'll maybe see like 40 to 50, which for a third line center is pretty good. So do I think he's going to score his 100th career point? I think there's a very big possibility. He's playing on a third line that isn't that all that horrible as the kid line. Kakko's been playing great. Lafreniere's been playing great, and he's been playing great. So I could see all of them putting up maybe like 1 or 2 points each. So who knows what's going to happen tonight? But I'd say, yeah, good chance. It's more likely than not that he will.
Yeah, I think he's going to go ahead and get that point tonight. I think the kid line is going to have another good performance and go ahead and propel the Rangers to victory. That's my projection here. I think that the Rangers win tonight's game, and I believe that the kid line is going to have a big part to play in the success of the team. Let's go ahead and look at some of these other game notes entering tonight's game. The New York Rangers have an all-time record versus the Predators of 17-12, 1-2, and the Rangers have won 4 of their last 5 in Nashville. So we're looking at hopefully another solid win tonight. This is historically a game that the Rangers come out on top of. I don't want to jinx anything. Okay, knock on wood, as Eric keeps doing. I'll knock that wood real hard. Pause. But I think that it's going to be a solid performance from the Rangers tonight. And again, I'm banking on the kid line to have a really, really solid game and hopefully go out there and make the difference for the Rangers. And again, Christopher Big Bear, thanks for the comment. Hedl is a difference maker. Glad to have him back. Absolutely super happy that he's back in the lineup. The Rangers were feeling the loss of Hedl when he was not in the lineup.
You're telling me.
And so, yeah, happy that he's back in the lineup and that the kid line's back intact to hopefully get us some wins. Ranger Pete, 1994, Kravtsov out with COVID. The dude can't stay on the ice. I read that it was just a stomach bug. I didn't read that it was COVID. I hope it's not COVID because I think that would require him to miss a slew of games rather than a stomach bug that would probably only miss him 1 game. But yeah, the dude can't stay on the ice. That is an absolute certainty. It's very unfortunate that this guy just, for one reason or another, can't seem to stay out there. Can't keep the pads on, can't keep the skates on. It's really frustrating because he looked pretty good in the summer training camp. We had a lot of high hopes for Vitaly Kravtsov, but so far, nothing good. And that's just a very disappointing storyline and throughout the early portion of this New York Rangers season. How many points do the Rangers score tonight from Anthony Barker? What are you thinking, Eric?
If we're talking goals, I mean, I'd say we're not going to have another huge explosion like last game. We're going to regress a little bit. I'd say if I had just final score prediction, I'd say either 3-2 or 4-2, somewhere in that range. I don't really see Halak giving up more than 2 or 3, but I also don't really see us scoring more than 4 or 5 on the high end of that spectrum. So I definitely am predicting a win. You know what? Final score 4-2 Rangers. That's my prediction right there.
Yeah, that's actually the exact same score that I had in my head. We had our our brains were connected there. Connection. One hive mind right here. But yeah, 4-2 Rangers. That's my score. Yeah. No. Let's not talk about any empaths tonight. But let's go ahead. Is Halak in net tonight? Yes. New York Rangers fan for life. Halak is in net. Christopher Big Bear, I think Blaze starting to look good out there too. I would agree. And I think a lot of those guys playing on the fourth line are starting to come into their own. I think Barclay Goodrow has had a very impressive start to the season. Sammy Blaze is also playing well. Ryan Reeves, when he's out there, he's doing what Ryan Reeves does. But, I think that having 2 of the 3 guys on the fourth line, at least having solid performances so far this season, definitely a positive for the Rangers. So, Eric, what are your thoughts on Sammy Blaze? And also, what are your thoughts of Vitaly Kravtsov not being able to stay on the ice?
Well, Kravtsov, I hate him. That's it. Just get him off the team. When we do eventually make that trade for Patrick Kane, just throw him in. When it comes to Sammy Blais, I agree. The fourth line, they're not big on point producing, as we know, but they're role players. They go in there and they have a specific job to do, and they do get it done. Sammy Blais is very great defensively, and he's good on carrying the puck up the ice, on the penalty kill and everything. So, yeah, just because you look at his stat line and you don't see 50 goals doesn't mean that he's a bad player. He does what he needs to do, and it's one of the most underrated players on the team, I think, is Sammy Blais. He does a lot for this team and is very underappreciated for it. Yeah,
I completely agree with that as well. Kravtsov's spot should be sent. Should have went to Ottman. I assume you mean Brennan Othman, a Ranger Pete, 1994, with the comment. Thanks so much for commenting. Yeah, I honestly, what are your thoughts on that? Because Brennan Othman has been dominant over in the OHL so far. And I mean, he was player of the month, I believe, in October. Yeah. He's looked really, really good. He's a player that, young prospect that we thought the Rangers might want to throw into the lines this season, see what he can provide in the NHL. They opted not to, and there was some technicalities that forced them to go ahead and do that, but whatever. And so, yeah, now we're dealing with Vitaly Kravtsov. What are your thoughts on that, Eric? Was Brennan Othman the right choice there?
Hot take, I disagree. Okay. Just because if you just look at the way that the NHL works, if we were to have kept Othman rather than Kravtsov, it would have been a huge risk because let's say Othman comes up and he's not playing as well as he wanted him to. We can't send him down just because of the stupid rules that the NHL has. So we would have been stuck with him. We wouldn't have been able to trade him, wouldn't have been able to send him down to the Wolfpack. Now you're looking at a guy like Kravtsov, who we are starting to have problems with, but we have a lot of maneuverability with him. If we wanted to trade him away, we do have the option to. We could always send him down to the Hartford Wolfpack, but I think it might have just been too much of a risk to keep Othman up here. Yes, he's doing great in the OHL. He was the Rangers prospect of the month for the month of October, but that doesn't always translate to the NHL. You know, we have a lot of guys who've played really good in the minor leagues, and the second they hit the big time, they kind of just disappear. So if you're looking at pure stats, it's like, yeah, it looks like it makes sense to keep Othman, get rid of Kravtsov. But at the same time, if that's in a perfect world, if that didn't work out, we would be left with zero options on how to deal with it other than just keeping him on the fourth line and just giving him as little ice time as possible and overworking our other forwards. So while I respect the opinion, I do have to disagree.
Yeah, well, you're disagreeing with quite a few people in the comments. Rangers P is all in on Othman. NY Rangers fan for life also agrees that Othman should fill in that empty void. And Christopher Big Bear thinks Othman should have made the team. Would love to know why not. I mean, Eric did just provide some insight on why not. Again, there was some sort of technicality with his age where if they added him to the team, they can't send him down or something.
Because it's really like, for some reason, to play in the NHL, it's like you can play when you're 18 or something like that, but then to be in the AHL, you need to be like 19 or something.
Yeah, it's some strange, weird little rule.
I don't get it, and I understand if my opinion is controversial. It's just it's a complicated situation, and like, even though we're like professional talkers about this sport, I still don't understand the rule.
Yeah, it's such a strange rule, but for the record, I am in on Brennan Othman. I think he should have made the team. I think, but it's also tough because Vitaly Kravtsov looked good in the summer. He looked good at training camp, and he was a player who a lot of fans had their eyes on for a breakout season. He worked with Panarin to get up to speed. Panarin took him under his wing and mentored him all off season long. So it's kind of hard to argue against Vitaly Kravtsov, or it was hard to argue against him going into the season. But now that we've seen what we've seen, Vitaly Kravtsov, man, is just a massive disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, like knowing what I know now, it's kind of like maybe Othman should have had it. But like, if you look back to when we made the decision on who to cut, who to keep, I feel like it was like all in that it should have been Kravtsov, given the risk and the reward. Maybe now it's like we're like, shit.
Right.
Like,
hindsight is always 2020. It's a classic saying that totally applies here. But going back in time and looking at what the context was at the moment that the Rangers decided not to go with Othman, we agreed they made the right decision because of that rule. They did what they had to do. But hindsight's 2020. I wish that Othman was on the squad. Logan also says 4-1 Rangers, 4-1 Rangers. He thinks that's the score line tonight. Let's go, boys. Trocheck and Lafreniere scores. I could totally see that happening. I think Laffy is probably going to put one in net or at least get an assist. Again, I'm expecting a lot of points from the kid line tonight. Christopher Big Bear, I think Othman should have made the team. Would love to know why not. I already read that. My bad. Christopher Big Bear. Othman had a good preseason. Thought he looked ready to go. Ready, but you got to trust the process, I guess. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is at the end of the day. I think that the Rangers probably also thought he looks ready to go, but one more year of developing cannot hurt him, but only help him. Plus, that rule, that weird technicality within that rule forced them to just send him down to the OHL. And now he's dominating over there. So good for him. And maybe he's earning some more valuable experience and proving to the Rangers that next year he's going to be a real impact on their lines.
And I completely agree with that. You do got to trust the process. In the years that I've been watching the Rangers, ever since I was a kid, it's like the amount of times I've seen us pick up someone really young who has a lot of potential and then just throw them into the NHL, not let them develop whatsoever and end up being a bust. It hurts a lot. So, and like for a little bit there, I was like, oh, this is what's about to happen to Kakko. It's going to have to happen to Lafreniere. But luckily they've been holding their own. But then you look back to like the 2015, 2016 era type team and look at like a defenseman like Dylan McElrath. Like we drafted him like 4th overall that year, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. And we just threw him straight into the NHL. He was not ready whatsoever. It was like one of the biggest busts in Rangers draft history. So it's just like, that's like what I'm scared of. You know, like you just said, Anthony, one more year developing it's not going to hurt him. It's only going to help him. You know, let him get ready for his NHL debut. He doesn't need to be thrown in just this second. We have a good team that's going to be good for the foreseeable future. Given this slow start, it's nothing to worry about. We're going to be playoff contenders, maybe even Stanley Cup contenders for the next half decade, in my opinion.
I think so too. And again, I have really high hopes for Brennan Othman. Just kind of round out that conversation. I think that he looks super, super impressive right now in the OHL. And I think that next year he's going to step into the NHL and make an impact in the Rangers lines. But let's go ahead, kind of discuss a little bit more about tonight's game before we wrap up here. We've got about 4 minutes before game time. Can't wait. Super excited to watch the game and hopefully see the Rangers win their second game in a row on the dad trip. But what are your thoughts going into tonight's game? Who are you expecting the biggest performance out of? Who needs to step up in order to get the win?
I mean, I'm expecting a huge performance. I am expecting a win, knock on wood, obviously, because the hockey gods hate me every time I predict anything. I think the defense needs to play good. You know, we have Halak in that, and we have a tendency so far this season to not back up Halak when he needs it. And there's a lot of Rangers fans jumping the gun, just wanting to send Halak down and calling up like Louis Domingue and stuff. And we're like, no, just the defense doesn't play up to par when he's in net because we're playing against lesser teams that aren't that good. And we think we can just relax. And like, no, that's not the answer. So Adam Fox does need to step up. My one critique on his play, even though he is our best defenseman, is he does tend to relax a lot. If we're going up against a team who isn't like top 10 in the league, he won't play as good as he should be. And he definitely needs to come into this game hot, looking to score points and play phenomenal defense. And on offense, can't believe I'm about to say this, but like Panarin, bro, I need him to play a little more defensively as well. Now, obviously, Panarin is my favorite player. If you're watching this channel, like before this video, you know that I love Panarin. But you kind of look at his stats. He's leading our stats offensively. But then you look at his plus minus, and he's a -8, which is like the worst on the entire team. So while he is being the most productive on offense, he's also the most vulnerable defensively on those forward lines. So as much as I love him, he does need to change something up. He can't just rush up the ice, try to make a crazy assist, most likely score. But in the chance that he doesn't score, he needs to get back and play defense. He needs to back check and forecheck and everything defensively. And that is my one criticism on Panarin. I think this is a game where everyone is going to succeed. But when it comes to offense and defense, I think it's Fox and Panarin are 2 stars.
Yeah. So I also have some news on Brennan Othmann. This is like, I know we segued away from Brennan Othmann, but let me bring the conversation right back to him real quick because this is some news that just came out less than 20 minutes ago. OHL, sounds like the New York Rangers first rounder Brennan Othmann of the Flint Firebirds will be traded to the Peterborough Petes. Trade paperwork still to get done, but it is headed in this direction. Flint is playing Peterborough tonight, but Othmann is suspended and not playing. He's suspended for a high stick that caught a defensive or opposing player right in the face. But meanwhile, while this is going on, it has been clarified it doesn't affect his status with the Rangers, but noteworthy that one of the top prospects in the OHL will be changing teams, especially because Othmann was Flint's captain. Again, he will be AHL eligible next season, meaning he's likely to get called up to the Rangers at some point within the next year. But yeah, some interesting news there. We were just discussing Brennan Othmann in the comment section. I don't know if you guys have any kind of differing opinions now that you've heard that he's been suspended for a high stick slapping someone in the face. Kind of looked intentional. A lot of people think it was intentional. That's why he was suspended. But again, trading teams no longer with the Flint Firebirds, going to be moving to the Peterborough Petes, supposedly, and hopefully in the AHL next year, and eventually called up to the New York Rangers. Ranger Pete 1994 says Trouba and Miller need to play better. Trouba kind of combined Trouba and Miller there. But Trouba and Miller need to play better. Completely agree, especially on Trouba. I think Keandre Miller's been all right, but Jacob Trouba definitely needs to start living up to that captain's patch. But Eric, before we wrap up here, give your thoughts to Trouba, Miller, and Othmann's trade.
Just real quick, I agree with the Trouba and Miller thing. They've been all right, but if you want to win the Stanley Cup, you need to be better than all right. I wouldn't say they've been bad. Trouba's made a couple of dumb plays. I think Miller's played fine, but yeah, there could be improvement there. I definitely don't disagree with that. When it comes to Othmann, when you started reading that, I got really scared for a minute. I was like, oh my God, I don't remember the OHL rules. Like, is this going to change his status with the Rangers? But obviously, the OHL is not affiliated with the NHL or AHL. No matter what team he plays for, he will be signed as a New York Rangers prospect. As for his behavior, is this a clip right here?
Yep, this is the clip.
I mean, just give me 10 seconds, boys.
Let's go. We're going to go ahead and watch this clip.
All right, so
skip ahead to the replay here. See if we can find.
Because I can, as long as I see it, I can give my opinion on it.
Okay, maybe no replay right here. There
so
you go.
He has it.
Is that what it was? Maybe that's not what it was. I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to find out. But
if he high sticks someone, I wouldn't even consider that to be on purpose, unless there's like a blatant like whack like that. If you're trying to lift someone's stick or lift the puck up and it catches someone on the chin, it happens. It happens in the NHL all the time. And if you're gonna like try to take this,
I know what it was. So he cleared the puck and it went into the opposing bench. He hit someone on the bench.
Yeah, restart that so I can just see the clear. It looked like he just spun around. He didn't mean to do that.
So, yeah, he turned and just threw it at the bench.
That's not intentional.
Or
whatsoever.
Someone coming off.
Yeah, that's
making a line shift.
That's not intentional. He was facing the other way and just spun around to clear it down. I'm sure he meant to bank it off the boards. It's like just a classic delay of game penalty in the NHL. There's no way that was intentional. He's suspended us, whatever. Who cares? I mean, what we would just clip of some Rangers player just did that, but it worked. Just because they're an NHL player. Yeah, no, that's stupid. He doesn't need to be traded or suspended for that, unless we're just somehow looking at the wrong.
Yeah, so it says that the Flint Firebirds are trading him because they need to acquire more young talent, and he's pretty much ready to leave them in a year, so they're trying to get what they can for him before he leaves. So it's fair enough for the Flint Firebirds, but just an interesting move there in general. As we continue to sit here and watch, probably our top prospect in Brennan Othman continue to develop in the OHL, but. Guys, it is game time. It's past game time, actually. So we're going to go ahead and sign off here and watch this New York Rangers game versus the Nashville Predators, hoping to get another win on the dad trip. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to Fireside Rangers, especially tonight's live stream. We really appreciate the support and love interacting with you all in the comment section. So make sure to continue to subscribe to Fireside Rangers. Tune into all the live streams and episodes that we post on the channel. Love to interact with you all. And really love talking New York Rangers with you all. So, again, make sure to subscribe and leave a like if you did enjoy. And we'll catch you all in the next one. Have a good one. And let's go Rangers.
Woo! Let me know what you think about my mustache, if you can see it.
I don't think they can. Get in closer for him. Let's see.
I'm not going to
Rick stash. No Rick stash. You'll see it another time. But let me know what you think of mine. I got to shave the beard, but I think I'm looking good
Dude,
tonight.
I got some shit there, bro.
I'm thinking I'm looking good, right? All right. Let's go Rangers, guys. Woo!